Not a great day through the air for Jayden Maiava.
For anybody. Yeah.
For anybody. I talked about how I didn't think Nebraska had the secondary to take, away one of USC's primary weapons out wide.
I've really liked Nebraska's corners. This is you saying this.
This is me. Yeah,
evaluation going in.
And listen, I like their corners in the secondary as well.
Hold on.
But
so do you or do you not?
Well, if you allow me to finish, I can tell you my thoughts are here.
Okay.
In the preview, my commentary on Nebraska's secondary was I like them. I don't think they can be as effective in taking away one of the two primary weapons as Notre Dame was.
Okay.
Because I don't think they're as talented in the defensive backfield. As it were, they took away both of them.
Yes, they did.
They took away both of them. It was a great effort by the Nebraska secondary. And guess what USC did? Lo and behold, it took until now for them to do this. They committed to the run.
They did. Well, I think they did against Michigan when it was working. They decided to keep going to King Miller. Yeah.
I just feel like there have been only a few instances where Lincoln Riley has been comfortable with this.
Yeah.
Because we've seen instances over the last 2 seasons now where the running game actually has been quite effective, and they just don't do it enough. This is not one of those times. This is a really good game for King Miller. Actually, a really good game for Jayden Maiava on the ground as well. They turned to that because it was working. They stuck with it, and they came away with a hard-fought win. This is a tough place. And speaking of like blackouts or dark mode, whatever they were calling it everywhere across the country tonight, Nebraska had that going on. This is a very big deal. Everybody was jacked up for this one. Matt Rule had newly signed the extension.
They released the black balloons this week.
The black balloons.
It was the weird, not the weird, but the blackout situation. Yeah.
So everybody was all fired up in Lincoln for Matt Rule to, I guess, lose another one against an AP top 25 team. He's now 0-8 as Nebraska coach. But for me, the takeaway was that USC's willingness to commit to the run in a spot where it was clearly working and clearly could make them some hay. That to me was a breath of fresh air that they did not try to force the pass when that was clearly not as effective.
Okay, so you are complimenting USC, which I think is not as deserved as your tone would suggest.
Okay.
USC was running for 7-8 yards a carry. As you mentioned, struggled through the air to hit on bigger plays. They were taking shots. They just weren't hitting.
They weren't.
The receivers were smothered. They were in double coverage. And to be fair, like even still, Mekhi Lemon makes these plays sometimes in double coverage in impossible situations. This game was 14-all in the second half, I believe. 17-14 in the second half. Now, this is, you didn't mention the one thing I'm sure you were going to get there if I didn't cut you off. Dylan Raiola left this game.
Yes.
Injured.
Yep.
And I don't, was it TJ? I apologize for the pronunciation. I had the
TJ Latif. He is a freshman who came in and actually did okay, I think, in his own right, given the circumstances.
He ran.
I thought at least had a decent enough command and was in a spot where he kept Nebraska competitive. You never know what you're going to get in a situation like that. You bring a freshman in and off the bench, big situation like this, at home, at night, good USC team. He didn't play him out of the game, which is really all you can ask for.
He threw for 7 yards.
He threw for 7 yards.
1 yard. So I would say 1 yards. 1 yard per attempt. Every time he threw the ball, on average, it was going about yay far. If you're watching, about 3 feet. If my math serves. USC was not running away from this game. They weren't running away from Nebraska when Nebraska had a quarterback who was zero passing threat in this game. He was zero threat. It became very clear pretty quickly. He was zero threat to USC's defense through the air. And USC had to play a full 60 minutes to win this game. So it became nearly impossible at the end of the game. I think they pinned Nebraska inside the 5 or something with a punt. It became nearly impossible for Nebraska to win this game, to drive 95 yards with a backup quarterback. That became clear. But even still, this should have been a game with USC running the ball like they were able to. At times they were, 8, 9, 10, 12 yards per carry without being touched for those first 8, 9, 10 yards. And they couldn't figure out a way to finish drives. And so when you're clunkers, winning is better than losing. There was freezing temps in Lincoln. There's a good win for a USC team who does not win this game under Lincoln Riley, right? This is a losable spot for USC consistently under Lincoln Riley. Good for them for winning. But if Dylan Raiola were in, if any sort of replacement level quarterback were in, and maybe TJ Lateef turns into that guy with experience, like Jayden Maiava dirted the ball to stop the clock with 3 minutes left, up 4, punting it back to Nebraska, who only had one timeout, I believe, at the time. Like, just doing them weird favors like that. And so, I don't know. The way you talk, the way your tone, I think, was too nice to USC.
Okay, that's fair. That's
They
fair.
did not run away from Nebraska on the ground at all. Like, they ran well, but they didn't turn it into points.
I thought I'm taking stock in the fact that they did not try to make fetch happen through the air.
Okay.
Like, there was at least enough recognition from a play calling standpoint that the running game was working. Maybe we should just stick with that, regardless of whether or not it translated into points and a runaway win or anything like that.
Right.
I just feel like I have seen too many instances, and this was especially the case last year with Woody Marks, where they could have ran more. They could have focused on that more, and it seemed like they wanted to throw it. And that was a point of frustration for us as we talked about USC, and I think among other USC fans that wrote into us as well.
Right.
They didn't do that this game. And it was still at night, loud environment, excitable environment where the crowd was obviously pretty jazzed up. A bummer that Dylan Raiola goes down. Now, it looked really painful.
It's an ankle situation, I believe, right?
Yeah, he got his ankle sort of like twisted and then rolled up on as he was going down on a play by a lineman. He was hurt. He did not return. He didn't play most of, obviously the fourth quarter, most of the second half. We're going to have to wait to see what his status is moving forward. Nebraska now is in a position where they've got 3 losses. They're 6-3 overall. They've got road games against UCLA and Penn State, and then the home game, the Heroes game, to close out the season against Iowa. So I think those are probably 3 winnable games.
With a healthy Dylan Raiola.
They need a healthy Dylan Raiola.
Right, exactly.
So we're going to have to watch the injury reports pretty closely to see where things come down as the week progresses here. But, 6-3, you win out. Even if you finish 8-4, it's still better, I think, than a year ago. And maybe it helps justify the big contract extension he gave Matt Rule.
Yeah. Look, they should win. They should beat Penn State and UCLA in this scenario if Raiola was able to bounce back. I mean, those are 2 road games. That's tough. It's 2 longer trips. But, Nebraska with a healthy Dylan Raiola, I think there's a good chance they're winning this game. Defensive deficiencies up front and all.